Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're playing Stormhaven. This is not the perfect deck at the moment, especially with the current meta, but it does the job and is reasonably cheap. Running only about 5 legendaries, that's not too bad at all with a handful of gold, so not the most expensive deck, plus most of these are pretty standard legendaries. I mean, if you don't have Snow Whites by now, I don't know what you guys are doing, and Dark Jean really, isn't that bad, especially as a 2-of. If you already have it, that's great. If you don't, you could always put in another Jean, whether it's normal Jean or the boosted one. Either way, still an okay card, or you can just put in really any kind of decent buff that will do the same kind of job. Otherwise, this deck I would say isn't the best. Definitely, it's definitely sitting that low kind of tier 3-ish, which isn't the perfect deck, but I did want to at least cover some of the Haven decks, and I wanted something a little different to normal, so Stormhaven it was. So we'll get right into it and check it out. So this is the last video for Unlimited Week, so we're coming to a close of our first kind of event sort of thing that I wanted to have go. So this will be the last Unlimited video, probably just for a little while, not forever of course, but I do tend to focus more on rotation, so starting Monday again, we will be back to doing the rotation decks, which you guys can of course check out. So Pinion Prayer coming down pretty solidly, that's what you want on turn 1. Any turn 1 drop is great when you're playing a kind of aggressive deck. Storm I wouldn't say is more of an aggressive type in the Haven archetype, but it definitely is one that can deal some crazy damage when it works. So of course the opponent's Shadow really just going for their reanimate. Already getting reanimate Zeus super early is great for them, not so great for me though. So a little disappointed that I had to deal with that. We do actually have a pretty good setup though. Going for a second Beast Colaria will allow us to at least swarm the board 2 turns in a row, which will be harder to deal with. Especially if we can play things like Snow White and really limit what things like the Scullering can do. Even with an Atomy, we've actually got a perfect setup with Dance of Death next turn, so that will guarantee the kill on Atomy. As long as they don't go straight into Surdwin on turn 5, even if they do, we do have another Dance of Death, but it would be nice if they don't do that. So double staircase isn't bad. Being able to see both of those come down is actually pretty reasonable. We've got Angel of the Word, which is going to quite easily remove this and allow me to keep my board stocked up quite well. We're going to be able to deal 2 damage, putting them on 18. If we lose at least one thing here, we do then get our other beast fall off. Even if we don't, we're going to keep the Storm, which is actually worthwhile on its own, so that's very decent. They are proccing their staircases though, really pushing to get those to go off. Everdark Strix, really pushing the boundaries of this card, going for that little bit extra and giving themselves a bit of a heal. So we do at least get our Falcon, which is important. Being able to have that is really nice. I do make a slight misplay here. I would have been better off using my Falcon to go face instead of trading, and then just using the Dark Jean in the way I'm about to use it now. That way I would have got 2 more damage on face, and that would have been half decent. So instead of dealing 9 damage, I would have had 11. But this is still a really solid hand. And sorry, actually it would be way more than 11. 12, 13, 15. It would have been 15 instead of 13. That's what I was thinking, I think. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, we did a nice bit of damage. Either way, it was solid. It worked out.
Let's do this again.
Dance of Death would have been able to secure us pretty well, and they would have had to deal with this board. So pretty obvious they were going to concede there. Next up, Forest. Forest again, one of the most popular and powerful decks in the Unlimited format. And definitely one that I have trouble dealing with a lot of the time, because they're really fast and wide boards that can buff. Can be quite hard to deal with, but if you get an alright hand, you can do at least okay with Haven. So Pinion Prayer gets us drop down. This game is going to be exceedingly close, so I'll give you that kind of little spoiler there. It's going to be a very tight game when it comes to points, so I do try and push out as much as I can as early as I can, meaning that if they start playing fairies or any other kind of buff, I can at least start to deal with that pretty consistently. I'm not too worried about a Happy Pig with no Evo next turn. We're pretty safe to just go face and deal with Happy Pig the following turn. We do have a really nice setup with that March Hare's Tea Time and Winged Sentinel. An absolutely perfect combination of cards Turn 5 Hare, turn 6 Sentinel, double evolve on the Hares and you get 6 damage to face, plus some really solid bodies. Fortunately, I can't actually do anything this turn. Didn't want to really sacrifice the Eagle here, just because I didn't really see it as having a point. Ramming the Eagle only would have served to have weakened the 3-4, and I wasn't planning to send the March's Head Tea Time into the 4-6 anyway, so really that was probably my safest play, just to leave the Eagle as a target. So we get our own March Hare's Tea Time off, which is great. Being able to do 6 damage to the face this turn, plus trade into the 3-4, is going to open up some doors for us. Leaving them only at 11, that means all we need now is to be able to deal just a slight bit more damage in the next turn. We can guarantee at least 6 damage next turn with the Amulet and the Winged Sentinel. Fortunately, they do get a full clear, and another Kindly Trent, which is great because we can use our March Hare, same as last time, clear it off and really set this up. So we are going to be very close. They're going to be on 5 health. We also have Dance of Death, which at least allows us to deal that 2 damage, so we're going to be very, very close to having lethal on them. Arya just not knowing what to do when faced with the moon. So Hagdar, that's pretty good actually, being able to trade it, especially if you throw the Evo on it. Even if you don't, you do have a 4-1 that you could trade into the 4-4, so my opponent definitely has a good set of plays. On the other hand, I'm in a really tight spot now. I pretty much only have Dance of Death to use, so I am able to use that at least, which is good. Putting them down to 3 and getting Snow White onto the board it's just something extra. I really needed something that was going to present themselves to this, and Snow White was perfect. Unfortunately, Beauty and the Beast is a little bit of a nightmare to deal with, so I'm a little disappointed that's the card they had to play now. They are going to get a pretty decent trade into this 1-2 with the Beauty and the Beast, and even be able to trade that 4-1 if they want to. Or if they have another card in their hand, could have been even better, but that's not too bad for me. I can accept that amount of damage, and with 1 extra fairy here, unless they have a Roach in their hand, we could be okay for at least this turn. So I really want to push, trying to get as much as I can. I do get the Beast Call, which is alright. Really going to leave at least 1 space on the board in case I draw Winged Sentinel. It's probably my only decent wing condition now. Don't really have anything else that can push lethal for 3 damage. But at least we did manage to survive that turn, which is good. I mean, if the Snow White had to survive too, I could have had a chance if I drew into Dogma of at least being able to proc my Beast Valaria. Fortunately, they dealt with the Snow White pretty well. They're just setting up as much as they can to go wide, so we're left on 3, they're left on 3. It comes down to this next draw. It's Hollow Dogma. I decide to take the chance, proc the Globe, and draw 2 cards, thanks to Dogma and Globe's effect. Get the Winged Sentinel, 4 lethal, perfect draw off the top. Couldn't have asked for anything better. Really happy with how it turned out. So, hope you guys did enjoy that, because honestly, that was the closest game for that draw. All I needed was Winged Sentinel to close that out. So, would I recommend this deck? Probably not. Definitely not the most consistent deck. There are better Haven decks out there. I think Elena is still really decent, and even just Temple Haven is actually quite alright. So while they aren't the strongest decks right now, Haven and Unlimited, they definitely have some power behind them. This deck is okay. If you've got the cards and want to try it out, I do recommend at least giving it a shot. You might find yourself having some luck. You definitely want to hit that like button and subscribe for more content. You will find the deck list to this deck in the description below, and I'll catch you guys next time. See ya.